Thank you, Michael. Our next speaker is Neemat Frem. Mr. Frem is the Vice President of the Maronite Foundation and a board member of In Defense of Christians. Mr. Frem.
Thank you, Judge Bohaker. Hello. Well, Judge, I will go back to the courtroom as you started at the beginning, and I want to thank the witnesses that have really brought us a picture of the Middle East, and I will try to plead the case. Let's see how an engineer would plead in your courtroom. As a start, I consider that the presence of the Christians in the Middle East is to be considered one of the most fundamental human legacy. Hundreds of generations have entrusted us to protect and nurture. By us, we mean not only the Christians of the Middle East, even not all the inhabitants of the Middle East. It is every citizen of the world that believes that mankind's heritage, as well as its future, is his or her responsibility and vocation. The latest developments of outrageous scale that the Middle East has experienced is the ultimate call for action. An action that is beyond mere reaction. An action that is commensurate to the barbaric cruelty of a group of people with fundamentalism as a core set of belief and exclusion as a standard mode of operation. The response should be a rallying cry for those that believe that moderation is a fundamental value of all religions, and acceptance of diversity is a basic right and duty of all human societies. The response should be a real opportunity for those that believe that the set of values embodied in the ideology and barbaric actions of ISIS is rebuked, and the heretic behavior of those who believe in it is condemned by Islam as a religion and is officially rejected by all Islamic majority states. The coalition of regional and international forces to disrupt and destroy ISIS, announced yesterday by President Obama, is the appropriate platform to clearly express the condemnation of such ideology and actively confront it. Now, why Christianity is vital to the Middle East today? We believe that the vocation of the Christians in the Middle East, those that have stayed throughout all the different periods of the Islamic expansion, is to be the cornerstone of the moderation and inclusion values that are to prevail in the Holy Land of religions. In those precise lands that are the cradle of monotheistic religions, lands where God expressed his mysterious and holy presence in the most obvious ways to mankind. Moderation and inclusion, the building blocks of the wellness of all people, of all nations, shall prevail. The societies we are all proud of, built on the basics of human rights and democracy, will be challenged, and the fate of mankind, future generations, will be at stake if we do not overcome. Disrupting and destroying ISIS should not be the only objective of this coalition. A clear evolutionary process in the whole Islamic world should be the real outcome. The true values of tolerance and moderation of Islam should become the only allowed expression of behavior across all Islamic regional religion schools. The Christians of the Middle East, after regaining their homes, rights, and vigor, will be, along with all the citizens of the Middle East, the true guardians of these values. Alas, once again, the crucifixions and ultimate sacrifice of the followers of Jesus shall be the furrow in which the seeds of goodness and love shall grow and blossom. This is really my plea for the Christians to stay in the Middle East. And on this day of 9/11, I cannot but remember those that died today, and at the same time, those that committed this big act, this awful act. For me, they announced a new century. A century that started with people killing themselves and killing others in the name of God. One would look and say, what a difference. 20th century started with people saying God is dead, like Nietzsche and Bergson before. 100 years later, one would think that this is the revenge of God. Is that true? Is God coming back in this form? We say no. Believers and Christians say no. It is only void that is filled with this form of spirituality and beliefs. It is a belief in Jesus Christ, the Christ of the gospel, the Christ of the Quran, that is written in the Quran as much as the gospel, that creates the harmony between brothers all around the world. And only with this spirit that this century will be saved and the millennium will be built on the values, on those values of inclusion and acceptance. This is where our testimony is so much important in the Middle East as much as the world. Thank you very much.